So for our final speaker this morning, Serge is very important to us. I hope I pronounce your name correct, Serge. Is that right? Yeah. So and Serge was kindly here a year ago to give a talk about his book, French Memories of Malaysia. So we are indebted to Serge for arranging this talk, for inviting George and his family over. And I actually love Serge's bio because he describes himself as a trained historian and a geographer. And most importantly, he is a memory smuggler. I like that. And an accidental translator. His latest efforts are the French Memories of Malaysia, which we featured at Taman Tugu last year. Literary Excursions and Fortuitous Encounters. Another lovely word, fortuitous. And his latest book is Guidon de Chambelle, Voyage to the Great Indies. And I believe what's coming up is a very important work exploring factual accuracy in the Fort of Melaka Heritage Gallery. And on that note, a short pantun. Pahlawan Melaka 5 bersaudara sanggup bermatian untuk raja tersayang. Kaum Chitti, Kristang dan Baba menjunjung budaya berdondang sayang. Silakan, Serge.
Great. I think it's the first time I speak last and I have a little bit of time. Usually the first speaker takes so much time that I'm left with 2 or 3 minutes. I'm plenty of time. Great. And I will give me the opportunity, also to be a bit personal and to tell you how I encountered the Pantoun. First is a souvenir of secondary school back in France long time ago, and it was not the Pantoun, as all the speaker explained, it was the Pantoun, thanks to Victor Hugo, Charles Baudelaire, who wrote the Pantoun that all the French students learn at school. Paul Verlaine and so on, many of the French poets tried themselves to write Pantoun. I discovered the Pantoun when I came to Malaysia. I arrived with few books in my suitcase, and they were French novels. One already been mentioned is, of course, Henri Fauconnier, but I didn't have Malay because at the time it was no more available in France. Only the English edition, the Soul of Malaya, was available, which doesn't make any difference as far as Pantoun is concerned. And La Dame de Malaka, which I discovered first thanks to the cinema, beautiful Edwige Feuillère in the role of La Dame de Malaka. Francis Ducroisset, the writer, tried himself to write some French Pantoun. More seriously was the next step when, like Jérôme, I discovered the Malay literature. He was Hikayat Angtua. He was the epic of Angtua, and he was, of course, the Malayan role. He gave you a Pantoun of the epic of Angtua. Let me give you a Pantoun from the Malayan role. The description of the first Siamese attack on Malacca, 1446. Chao Pandan, son of Siam's king, Malacca purposed to invade. Stone like flower adorn his ring. Flowers, alas, of tears were made. That's the translation from Brown. The next encounter were the most important for me, mentioned already, Dai, of course, with his seminal book, not by a Frenchman, but I believe that he was recognized by the Malaysian as well as a very important book on Pantoun. And the last encounter, of course, is George, which I call the Pope of Pantoun. Because without him, we will not be there. He told himself the Big Bang he created in Paris, I saw it, 1993. The Malay Pantoun was all over Paris, in the metro, in the bus. Can you believe it? And maybe for me at the time, the most important work, it was his history of the Pantoun genre, which give a full picture of the how the Pantoun born in the Malay archipelago flew all over the world. And let me give you my favorite Pantoun. You all know it. Prau mabuk ke mudigila, bawa balaya ke kalwa kuala miniak. Bulan mabuk matahari gila, apa kanta bintang yang banyak? Drunken boat, the rudder is crazy. With all the sail set to Kuala Miniak, the moon is drunk and the sun is crazy. What about the stars of the zodiac? But I promise, Joanne, that I will speak a little bit about Melaka, because it may be considered as a cradle of Pantoun. And let me give you the translation of François-René Dailly of one of the most famous Pantoun. Should Melaka fort be destroyed? Alas, the basil on a tree. Should I be told true, not decoy? I wish on a lap dead I lay. I would like to tell you a story I find very interesting. 2018, Malaysia and Indonesia proposed to UNESCO to list the Pantoun to the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Can you believe it? UNESCO refused. Why? First, because it was too unique for UNESCO. The unicity of the Pantoun to the Malay culture is not acceptable for UNESCO. And the second mistake made in the presentation, Pantoun can be used for tourism purpose. Can you believe it? So politically incorrect for the people sitting in Paris. Besides, another reason was given, not enough community and grassroots base, too much emphasis on the function of the state. So, bye-bye the Pantoun. But curiously, on the same year, UNESCO accepted to put on the same list Dondang Sayang. This time proposed by Malaysia alone. And it was accepted. Very interesting, because in the presentation, description of the Dondang Sayang, the art, where poesy, quatrain, song is accompanied by some music, violin, tambourine, and a gong. This Dondang Sayang is supposed to have been important during for entertainment during the Sultanate era, the Malacca Sultanate era in the palace. And then from there he moved to the different communities, to the people, but also to the community I will mention later, the Chitti, the Portugis, the Baba. But what is extraordinary is if first in the presentation and the acceptance by UNESCO, the word Pantoun was never mentioned. Or, if you take out the music from a Dondang Sayang, what do you have if it is not a Pantoun? I wish UNESCO can explain to me the tour de passe-passe, I mean the trick to another question, in fact, I will ask. Was really the violin already arrived in Malacca during the Sultanate? Or was not a little bit later with the Portuguese? I don't know. Nobody knows. So, 2018, the Pantoun is rejected. Dondang Sayang is accepted, but don't worry, 2 years later, the Pantoun will also be accepted. Just have to make some modification in the presentation, and le tour est joué. But 2018 was also a very important date for me. I lose two good friends, Papa Joe, the Kristang, and Robert Sit, the Baba, two proponents of Pantoun. They passed away in 2018. That's also a reason why I'm very critical about UNESCO listing. When they accept to list something, is it not too late already? The celebration of Dondang Sayang and Pantoun, for me, resemble a lot to a funeral. But it's another story. I'm not here to speak about UNESCO, which will be able to speak also a lot about Malacca, the relation between Malacca and UNESCO. But it's another story. Because of Dondang Sayang, popular in Malacca, and the particularity, popular not only among the Malay, but among marginal community, which three of them we call the Peranakan Cina, Peranakan India, and Peranakan Portugis. So let's have a look at this community. Dondang Sayang, song of the Malay, song of the people of yesterday. Happiness is flowing as honey when my love is beside me to play. Dondang Sayang. The most important, as far as the demography is concerned, are the Peranakan Cina, the Baba and the Nyonya. They are the descendant of the first Chinese merchant who settled down in Malacca, but in all the port of the archipelago, in fact, settled down and married local women, so they will get acculturated. It's very important. That's the characteristic of the tree community. Acculturation, but not assimilation. Why? Because our Baba is eating by hand and wearing a sarong at home like a Malay, But he's praying like a Chinese, and he's playing dart and tennis like a British. That's the synthesis of three culture, but definitively not an assimilation. The Baba from Malacca speak Malay patois with Chinese words, and the difference with the Penang patois, which is just the opposite. I don't know, but I will go faster to tell you, to give you one Pantoun from the community. Ordinary cloth from Begu, taken by people from afar. Ringgit has only face value, only a good name is Stella. The other community, the Chitti, the smallest one, they today in their village of Malacca maybe left 25 houses. We are speaking of 100 people. Like there are more of them in Singapore, maybe 200. But how long this community will survive? And the characteristic is the same. Malay language, Malay dress, but not assimilation. They continue to practice Shivaite Hinduism. Chinese boy is selling siupao. He's also sell gula Melaka. If you, mister, really want to know, I am a Chitti from Malacca. And the Portuguese, which at the moment I'm speaking, are celebrating the big festival de San Pedro over this weekend. The children of Afonso de Albuquerque, the Casados, which are these Portuguese locally married. Again, acculturation, but not assimilation. Let me give you a Pantoun from Papa Joe, from Joseph Lazarou. I translated in English with the help of Renuga. Oh, Nonna mia, my mistress, your long hairs are brushing the ground. These are the very same traces which tightly hold my heart love-bound. Time to conclude. I will give you my favorite new Pantoun. I give you the traditional one, the drunken boat. A new one because of the link with France and Malaysia, between the link with the first one, the Rimbaldian influence. You all know Arthur Rimbaud, one of the greatest poets of France, but I guess well known over the world. But I'm not sure you know that in 1876 he signed a contract as a mercenary with the Dutch government. And in 1876 he arrived in Java. He arrived in Java on the 22nd July 1876. A contract for 6 years. But hardly a month later, he disappeared. He was a deserter. And the next news of him is almost 6 months later, for the New Year in France, in his mother house in Charleville, on the 30th of December of the same year. So we have a blank in his life, which I know will inspire George to imagine what Rimbaud did during these five months in the Malay archipelago. Because what is more, obviously, he could not have returned to Europe on a Dutch ship. Difficult to imagine. So he find a way to sail to Singapore, to the peninsula, to be safe in the on the British side. Who knows? Maybe he came to Malacca. But that's another story. But what is extraordinary, it is the drunken boat which he wrote 5 years earlier. What this drunken boat is doing here? How not to find some mysterious link between poets. So the Pantoun was written by Mohamed Haji Saleh, which was invited to participate to a seminar on Henri Fauconnier, and he wrote, I translate what he wrote. Seated in a cafe and eating snail, what else is a specialty? Bitter snail keep a secret thoroughly. La Rochelle very friendly with the sail. Drunken boat as much as humanity. And my turn to thank you is not a personal. Pantoun is more localized. If the fort of Malacca is blasted, in no time, a more beautiful will rise. If what everyone say is accepted, Taman Tugu is a real paradise.
Merci. Thank you very much, George. Very nice, lovely.